what I've got for you today is a super basic tackle drill, but where we're going to work through the repetitions, kind of reverse building the tackle, so that the piece that we keep working on is the part where we're getting back up to our feet to contest for the ball. That's one of the things that I find athletes struggle with quite often. And then I got my fiance and my dog to help out with that. The dog wasn't very helpful. And then at the end, what we're going to do is break down some ideas on how you can work on this solo if you don't have a partner. So the first step of this drill is just going to be finding your body positioning as the person who got tackled. So this is a great chance to work on falling and on making good placements. And then we're just going to work on getting into a jackling position, or a position where we can counter ruck or go after the ball as the tackler. And then we would just go back and forth with this drill. So one of you would go down with the ball, the other partner gets into a position and steps over. And the player who went down with the ball completely gets to choose which direction they go in, so we've got this just sort of random running around doing this motion going on. For the next step of the drill, one partner is going to go down, very similar to before, and then this time our tackler is going to get in a position like they just made the tackle. And from there, they're going to rotate up to their feet, keeping their hips as low as possible, stepping through and playing the ball. And again, we'll do this with the other partner playing the new role. They've got to get in the position, head on the hip, rotate around, step through, pick up the ball. One thing I really like to build into this step is to have the athlete who was tackled, so the one holding the ball, fight to get long as soon as that tackler releases them. So the second that tackler starts to attempt to spin up, I ask that athlete who's been tackled to fight to get into that long body positioning. Obviously, optional step depending on what it is that you're hoping to have your athletes do. Now, the last one in the progression, the way that I'm doing it this time around, is going to be to have one partner start on their knee. You can go from full standing as well, but one partner is going to start from a knee, and we're just going to do a classic step-in tackle, and then spinning back up to our feet. So working through all of those steps that just happened. Now, some things to note. As a coach, you don't have to stick with exactly these 3 steps, right? So there's opportunity in here to build in whatever steps are necessary. So maybe you're having difficulty having your athletes step into the tackle well, right? They're not taking that power step in as they're being tackled. Well, that's super simple. We add a step into this drill. So after the one where the head's on the hip and we spin up, the next step we add is the person standing there and then stepping in as that other athlete goes to tackle them from a knee. So we build in those steps just based off of what's the piece that we really, really need to work on. Obviously, with this drill, the downside is that you haven't yet done the tracking piece of the tackle. I like to separate that one out and have 2 athletes practicing this super simple, just back and forth, bounce the ball to each other. Once you've got the ball, you're the tackle E, you practice that power step in as the other athlete steps in, power step, same foot, same shoulder, making sure their head's on the correct side as they go. Some ways that we can practice this solo. For practicing getting into the jackling position as that first step, if you're solo, you could just toss a rugby ball, decide which goal line you're defending, get into that position over the top of it to play the ball. You could also use a jacket or something to signify the player on the ground, and then you're still just going to get those reps in. Maybe put the arms out so it's extra obvious which direction that torso is facing. But yeah, you just come into position, practice stepping over without stepping on your own jacket. And on the other side, we can practice fighting for ball placement. So going down with the ball, fighting to get long. I did a whole video on this, but you can practice getting tackled from the side and then fighting body over ball to go for whatever direction it is. For spinning up out of the tackle, I've just taken a rugby bag, filled it up with soft things, towels, blankets, things like that, and you can use that as the body that you're practicing spinning up off of. Great to place a rugby ball so you know what direction you're trying to get into, but you just get your reps. I've made the tackle, I fight to get up to my feet, I work around, I go off. If you're a visual person and you need the jackets assist here, let's remind ourselves what's happening. We're using the rugby ball bag or duffel bag, whatever you're using, we're going to use that as our tacklee's hips, essentially. So that's the part that we need a little elevation on so we can get a good feel for this. But so again, I've made the tackle, I've wrapped the legs, I get back up to my feet, I fight to the torso, and I step over the top to go after the rugby ball. I could also stand bag up to get some practice getting low in my tackles with that drive-through. We're just using a duffel bag here as a tackle dummy. Any drills you normally would do with your coach, you can bring out and do this way. Please note that I'm tackling the side that does not have the zipper and straps. Make sure you're keeping track of yourself when you do this. Piece of the tackle that's incredibly important is getting your footwork right? So making sure that you're stepping in with that same foot as side that you're tackling. This is a warm-up that the WPL All-Stars did a couple of years ago that Allie really liked. And they did it with a partner just stepping in and ankle tapping, but you can do it with a pole too. Your goal is just that you're reinforcing these really good ideas of shoulder and foot on the same side and reaching out to actually touch an ankle or the ground, or in this case, the very bottom of a post, to get that feeling of getting really low into that. Here I'm going to practice tackling the tackle dummy, aka bag, but I'm going to spin up out of the tackle and go after the rugby ball. You'll notice I also took an angle into this. So instead of lining up straight, I'm practicing the footwork of coming in at an angle and still stepping in hard, square up as I go after the ball.